What's up, Casey Guy 2 here again, No Nonsense Know How. Today I want to show you my winch setup on my 2004 Tundra and some of the reasons I went with doing this setup. The way you control this thing is it always stays hooked to the battery, and you use this wireless remote right here from inside the car, which is pretty nice. Now, not only did I not have to rip apart my front end to install this, but the other couple things I really like is I have a 2-inch receiver up here, so if I want to put a rack on here or any other implements, a bicycle rack I've even put on here, you know, you can do that. Also, you can take this winch off if you get stuck in the mud or something like that and you got to pull yourself backwards. You can get down in the mud where you're stuck or whatever you are and take this off, which I'll do right now and show you, and then you can put it on the back because I keep a spare battery in the back of my truck. So to take it off, quite simply, you come up in here and I got these battery cables ran here, little wing nut on the positive cable and a 10mm on the negative side. Don't ask me why that side has a 10 mil. Get your battery cables out of there. Pop the cover off on here, just keep this tied underneath. This is one of those Smitty built covers. Fits the Harbor Freight winch pretty well. And yes, for all you Harbor Freight haters, this is the big mean BADLAND winch. I've had great luck with it for the amount of times I actually use this thing. It's been an awesome winch. All right, so then you just reach behind here, pop your pin out. A little bit of a bear to get to, but you know, it's got one of these pins in there, the fold over locks, whatever, keep grease on it so it doesn't rust up. And then, yeah, let's say, all right, that would have been definitely tough to do if we were stuck in the mud, but okay, let's say I need my receiver up here. I can now just pop this off. Of course, it's been sitting for a and, oh, boom, you can see that hasn't been out in many, many years.
But yeah, all right, so now walk through the mud with a 100-pound winch, like that's never gonna happen, but you could make it happen.
And then, of course, you can go your back, and you know, I'm really glad I'm making this video because as you can see, this needs to be cleaned up and greased and lubricated. So I would take this and I keep a backup battery right back here, an Optima, some spare cables too, hook that up, got my wireless remote, pull myself out backwards. In case that wireless remote batteries die or the unit fails me, I keep onto the hood the original controller that comes with this thing, you know, because of course a wired connection is much more reliable than the Bluetooth ones. I'll also put a link down there if you want one of those wireless remotes. However, I will say they're not as responsive. You know, when you let go of out, the thing actually goes for a couple, like maybe a split second after you let go, which can be really unsafe if you're doing some serious winching. So bear that in mind. This is instant on, instant off. All right, now with that winch off, you're almost back to a factory look. Of course, I got the brush guard on here too for the LED bar, but whatever. And yes, my truck is filthy, I know that. But you know, this is the only piece sticking out, and I'm really glad I took this off right now because clearly I have to come in here, clean this up, and grease this all up so this doesn't happen again. Now, as far as build details, I do have a couple pictures I'll try and put in here, but basically I got a piece of 3/16 6-inch wide angle steel, so it would go down on the back, and then I cut that down so it's about 2 inches on the back, and then I sistered that up with some 1/4-inch angle iron going across the back too, and essentially that goes all the way over, welds on each side of the front of the frame here. You can see on that side, yeah, my welds from years ago aren't that pretty. This has been on here for about 8 years or so. Of course, it's starting to rust a little bit. And then on top of this reinforced 3/16 plate, I used one of these winch mounts. I'll try and find you a link for that, but essentially it's one of those bolt-on bumper mounts, and I just welded that onto there. And so this is what you end up with. But essentially, you know, taking this front end off is very easy, and once you get it off, you really can do it in a multitude of different ways. But that's what mine looks like. I've winched this vehicle up and out of some pretty serious stuff. I've also gave it a great test against trees. It's never pulled off, and you know, if it does, it's gonna probably rip the whole front of my truck off, so hopefully that doesn't happen. Another reason I'm glad this thing is modular is because at the time of building, I wasn't sure I really wanted to have a 115-pound winch sticking off the front of my truck or how that was gonna affect my handling. After putting it on, I haven't really noticed anything different, but to give you some details on this bracket, you know, it's just some old crazy angle iron I had laying around, 1/2 inch thick. You know, you got to use what you have laying around, because if you buy that, that's going to be pretty darn expensive. Welded that to a 1/4-inch wall square tubing, and then I also welded another 2-inch receiver on the bottom with a hook on it too. So I use this for if I want to put a bicycle rack on there or something or another. Extremely heavy duty and overkilled, but you know what? That's gonna last a lifetime. It'll probably outlast this BADLAND winch. This thing's been very reliable though, can't complain. I do recommend putting a cover on these though, because if they get water inside of them, you know, that's going to damage them up pretty good. A few other things worth mentioning here. Of course, this sticks off the front of the truck, so you're not going to get that sleek look you would using a bumper that's, you know, has the winch mounted internally inside. It's also going to be a lot easier for somebody to steal. They can pop that pin out of there somehow and then just rip this off the truck. You know, but who's really stealing $100 Harbor Freight winches? Now, even though you're losing that sleek look of it being recessed into a bumper, this is a lot easier to maintain and replace things if you need to. You can see I keep grease rubbed all over mine on the electrical connections. Of course, that gets all dirty, but that keeps them from corroding and keeps them still functioning. I also like to wrap the wires with some wire loom, so that way they don't get sun rotted. You can see over time, you know, that this will rot through, and then you got a 4-gauge exposed 12-volt wire, not good. It's also why it's a great idea to keep a cover on it when you're not using it. And my method of dealing with the rust is just kind of scrape it all off and then, you know, just rub grease and motor oil on it and call it a freaking day. Do that once or twice a year and you're pretty good. As long as I can slide that out of there, I got no problems. You know, I don't mind things looking ugly. I just want them to be functional. Anyway, sorry if I didn't go into enough detail or too much detail for you. Just wanted to put this video out there and give you a quick overview of my setup and how I did it, how I achieved it, because maybe it'll give you some ideas for your setup. Comment down below if you got any input at all. Appreciate that. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if it does help, and maybe even toss me a subscribe. Definitely appreciate all of that. Till next time, KZ Guy 2 here, No Nonsense Know How, and you enjoy your day. I'll see ya.